Hello, folks, and welcome back to Petalburg Woods, where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Let's talk some Pokemon. We're back for episode 2. I'm your lovely host, Droomish, as always.
And I'm your other lovely host, Capreo. How you doing? And welcome back to Petalburg Woods.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Time to talk Pokemon, as we often do.
As we're wont to do, as we're known to do.
We've got another kind of game, mechanic, lore, human element breakdown today, as we often want to do. It's our favorite thing around here.
Today, we're talking about the difference, I guess, between the OG Hoenn region, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, versus the remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Both great games, both great versions of the Hoenn region. I maintain that Emerald specifically is the best way to experience the Hoenn region. And I kind of wanted to dig into like why I think that is. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm ready to think some things.
You ready to think?
Yeah, Caprio pulled me aside and said, "We got to talk about this. You gotta hear my points." And I said, "Sure. I'll scream at you. I'll scream right back at you about him." So he's gonna be proctoring this one, I think, kind of. But I'm interested in hearing his points because I could kind of go either way right now. I think these games are pretty distinct in their valuable offerings. I like it all, I think, right now, but I could be convinced. Well, you've been doing anything, playing any games, doing any Pokemon fun lately?
I mean, even separate from Pokemon, I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds lately. I think you know a little something about that.
I can't because I'm such a low hunter rank, but I'm sure your quests are wonderful up at 120.
What do you mean? We've literally been hunting together.
I guess when you stoop down to my low level of hunter rank 20 something maybe right now. I'm doing okay. It's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
What weapon are you using?
I'm still bow. I like my archer girly. She's cool, and I like the dragon fire is what it's called. It has I don't know why it has a homing attack. It's a bow, which it feels silly, but
that's crazy.
I use it.
I've been using the hunting horn the whole time.
Of course, it's great.
Tooting away, playing some songs. It's been great. Otherwise, other than Wilds, just plugging away at Pokemon Emerald, trying to complete that game.
Yeah, you really like that game?
I really like that game. I guess like I'm pretty biased in that like Emerald is my favorite game. I don't think it's the best game, but it is my favorite game. Like, I think it's the game that I could probably play forever.
The best game versus the favorite game is... That's one for the sophisticated Pokemon heads out there. If you've got a best game and a best game and a favorite game. I like that line of thought.
Like, I think the best games are Heart Gold Soul Silver.
The video essay darling, as it's called.
But Emerald is, I don't know, it's my ride or die. And that inevitably like influences my taste and my preference, certainly, for this whole Emerald versus ORAS debate, I guess. It's not even really a debate because I don't think either of us are taking a side per se.
Oh, I'm taking a side. I just haven't picked it yet. I'm ready to fight.
Okay. Ready to throw hands.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you been playing anything else before we get into it?
I've been on an old Pokemon card kick, which is not a
Hmm.
great audio topic, but some of these old cards, I gotta tell you, are, oh man, they really get me in a silly way. I love these cards from, I feel like, I don't know, what, a year, like, say 2006. 2006, those are the days
What a
for
year.
Pokemon cards. What a year. What a year you had. I don't know, maybe Deoxys was maybe that year. Maybe Team Rocket Returns. These are
Hmm.
the this is the art that could define a lifetime, define a millennium. It's it's very expensive though. It's been more of a visual hobby so far, but I really want to get as many possible of these cards called Delta species, where
Hmm.
they would just have Pokemon in just, I don't know how they really picked them. They're just like, well, they're seemingly random types. So it's like there's like an electric steel Dragonite, and that's like several car payments type deal right there. It's electric steel Dragonite. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Just they're like the other types though. They have these very inspired like elemental arts, and there's a fighting type Meganium. Actually, I have this from being a child. That's my time as a child on my resume.
Hmm.
But the Meganium has like this like earthen aura to it. It's a fighting type in the cards, and fighting represents ground because the card game makes so much sense. But then it has like an earthen field going on with it, and maybe maybe if you're watching on YouTube, we could possibly throw a picture of this up, or
Yeah.
could yeah, so you can see it. But it's really really cool.
Hmm.
My favorite thing right now are these mismatched type cards. They're very rare and very expensive and often damaged. Well,
Hmm.
I guess in my case, but yeah, not been huge on any games recently. Just trying to figure out how to kick my Pokemon card habit.
They're fun to collect, especially if you happen to come across a cool older card for like a decent price. Whether it's at a card store or even like a
That sounds
flea
nice.
market. You know, it feels like you win when that happens. Um, I really like the Delta species where they're like two types, and I think they pretty much only did them for like the cards that were part steel or part dark.
Yeah, I think I believe you're right.
Yeah, I think Delta species is like one of the coolest gimmicks they ever did in the cards, and
It's there's no question, folks. It's the coolest thing they ever did, and if you don't think so, then you're wrong, and
you're
you
wrong,
can
and
send it to the complaints box.
yeah, and we're not sorry.
Maybe we'll talk about it if you think something was better.
Have you been keeping up with any of the news? Any of the Pokemon news?
Yes, there is a new trailer. It looks pretty exciting for the thumbnails that I haven't looked at because I'm not watching the trailers. I'm not looking at the game. It's leak season, and I don't even look at the trailers anymore. So no super hype poggers, moggers, YouTube reaction from these reactors because I can't look at it until the game comes out. I just had a, it I don't want to say it ruined my childhood, but maybe it came close. Just overindulging before the games came out.
Mm-hmm. I think I did something similar with Sun and Moon, and then got my expectations sky high, and then when they came out, I was pretty let down, I think. But also like a lot of that like intrigue was gone. It was dashed. Really regret looking at like the leaks for that game before it saw the light of day properly. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I am weary of leaks for ZA, but I think inevitably they're just going to show up in my feed sort of without my consent, which is a big bummer.
I know. I gotta keep the filter up.
Hmm.
I mean, clearly the game's got mega Pokemon in it. I don't want
Hmm.
to know about those. I think that especially because I kind of the game that I kind of ruined for myself, and now that I'm like feel like I feel like I'm crazy being a 20 something and like not having like grown up with extreme love for this game is I'm really missing out on a generational shift. I looked at all of Cerebi's leaks for Black and White, and the games did not charm me completely. It's still, it was I reset it over and over because it was just like, that there's those things where it's like, I finished watching Shrek, time to watch Shrek again. Like, that's me with Pokemon. Like, yeah, say what that does about me, but finish the game, run it back. We play Pokemon like this, but I wasn't thrilled because of my own childish desires to know what Zebstrika looked like before it was time to evolve Blitzel, and I regret it every day because I think I would have been one where I was like, I think I had a moment, and then I remember telling somebody about it, and I was like, oh my god, I am so dumb. It was like, I saw Zorua and Zoroark. I was like, oh, this is the coolest Pokemon. What do they do? And then I read about the thing that they do. I was like, that's so cool. And then played the little story, and it was just, it's just Zoroark, folks. Who gives a damn about Zoroark at this point? And I shouldn't have done that to myself. I really, really should have treasured that moment. I think that evolutions especially are like, that's like the treasure of playing for the first time. Don't you think?
I agree.
I felt that way very much about, it wasn't even like that big of a thing, but it was like, I feel like that's like kind of to the point. I saw Tinkaton for the first time. I was moved. I'm at a loss for words even now, thinking about what I felt when I saw Tinkaton, and really just the hammer got bigger. Like, isn't it? But it was amazing to me. I was like, oh my god, she has a ponytail and a giant sledgehammer. Life is good. This is amazing. And oh, thank goodness I did not look before that. So clearly I guess the news cycle is pumping, and that's fine. Like, these are the these are like the curated by Pokemon trailers. That's like, I do even at this, like, I don't know, late stage Pokemon game, and maybe you disagree with me, maybe everyone in the world disagrees with me. I think they have their narrative wits about them. Like, they know how to unroll a story. Like, they show you the just right stuff in the trailers, the promotional material to, like, hey, get excited, but it's not gonna take anything away from you. Usually, that's how I felt, like, I think with, it's like the commercials for Diamond and Pearl and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they like really did that for me, where I'm like, okay, like I'm in, and I don't feel like you like took anything from me in this. What are you thinking about the the Danimals with Dylan Cole Sprouse?
I'm thinking about the Sprouse brothers. I play Pokemon Heart Gold version.
I play Pokemon Soul Silver version.
And when he's so diabolical, he puts his Pokewalker on his brother's belt where he goes for the run. Genius cinema,
really
absolute cinema.
And just the sheer, it's not vitriol, but like the, I don't know, the shit-eating grin conveyed by the voice line of when he goes, I just earned 500 watts or something.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, me too. It's like, oh, you are a rapscallion.
That was like peak Sweet Life on deck too. Oh my goodness.
So say what you will about that, I fully think that is a fantastic commercial. It does, for one, it kind of like, I think it like very effectively, and they do this a lot in their commercials if you really look for it, is they sort of shift the narrative of the commercial. And I know I'm being like a genetic freak here talking about the narrative of a commercial.
Please indulge.
The narrative of the commercial usually shifts away from the game being the primary focus, and is like the narrative of child with DS on a journey.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That was really good because it's like brothers having the two versions. That's perfect. Yeah. So those ones are really good. God, they got me so interested. I think, that would be a whole, write in if you want us to do this one. We'll probably just do it anyway because it's so cool. Pokemon commercials, coolest thing. One of my, that's got me like beaming. Pokemon commercials, Pokemon commercials.
Yeah,
How fun.
That'll be a future episode for sure.
But one that was like they went way over the top, and I think they even realized they went way over the top was like, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but the Sun and Moon promotional material. Oh my goodness, they shared way too much.
Like beforehand?
Yeah. Oh, way too much going
Right.
into Gen 7.
I do remember watching like a Nintendo Treehouse, definitely, and watching someone play through like the early route of the game. Really taken aback by how like wide the routes were.
That was fun. That was just good fun.
And so I was very excited about Sun and Moon based on like that Treehouse Live that they did. I don't remember. Oh, you know what I do remember actually? I think artwork for the Sun and Moon base set in the TCG. It wasn't even leaked. I think it was like officially revealed, and Marini was on like the side of the box. It hadn't been revealed yet properly, so that was like the
That's
card game
crazy.
side of it like revealed Marini unofficially before.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking.
Yeah, it was a rare instance of like a lack of quality control or something. But I definitely remember when that game or those games got like data mined and all of the new Pokemon were like available to see on Twitter, and I couldn't help myself, and I regret it.
Yeah. I was pretty good about it that generation, and I had seen, I mean, I guess it really was like not even like a different time. That was like, I guess, like a special time for them. It was like the 20th anniversary, and they jumped from X2. They jumped from XY, the whole X2 Y2 saga of there. Go watch a video essay about that, or maybe we'll talk about it someday. But like, I had seen Incineroar before the game. Like, I had seen Incineroar through what I believe was an official channel before the game was in my hands. That's right?
I don't remember specifically, but
Okay,
maybe.
These are freaky things to be remembering and talking about, but I'm pretty sure I remember a promo that was like showing the final evos of the starter, and I was maybe that was after the game came out, but I was like, this is weird because they like usually don't do that. Like, that's really something that you go and find for yourself, and then it like gets put on the Pokédex later.
Yeah.
At some point, but they did like Incineroar reveal, and of course Incineroar's in Smash as well. I felt like at least I knew way too much about those games before they came out.
Yeah.
There was like, I think one of the oddest things about it was, and it was a cool selling point for sure, but they promoted the final area of the game before the games came out. Like the battle facility was promoted because it had all these different characters from different regions.
Right.
But that was like a deep look into the games, and they're showing you, oh yeah, red and blue, they're back, and they're 20 somethings,
And they're older, yeah.
I don't know, they're probably not vaping, but like, they're 20 somethings and doing stuff like that, and red's a cool silent type in his 20s, and blue is wearing khakis and maybe a little bit fruity. Oh,
Yeah.
that was weird. Or it was weird. Well, okay, weird asterisk. I'll settle on weird. It was like weird to see like the battle tower in like an official ad, because that's it. Like, that's, and in game Sun and Moon base. I'm talking Sun and Moon base here. No ultra, no ultra mega, whatever. That's the end. I think I would call that the end. And it was decently into the cycle, but I thought that was odd for a game, and I think it's been like cleaner since then, at least. I guess that might have been when I just decided, like, I'm not gonna watch the trailers anymore because I don't need to. When the game comes out, I'm gonna be so happy. Maybe even like, oh my gosh, Pokemon Day? It really snuck up on me. There was this YouTuber I really liked when I was in middle school. He had, and I was like, it was like excruciating for me. This one really did work out though, and maybe this was good. I think it was, he had a long name. It's like John Carlo Mango.
Yeah.
Paul Mango.
Giancarlo Paramango.
4-name right there.
Yep.
You're doing good work.
I remember him.
You can, John Carlo Parlo Mango. He had a countdown to X and Y, and I remember specifically it was like, was it X and Y? Maybe this is like a lot of memory stuff, but at one point I thought that the timer said like 200 days until Pokemon. I was like, only 200 days? And then like it clicked for me of like, 200 days. I could live an entire lifetime in 200 days.
Mm.
Like, I'm crawling through the desert right now waiting for Pokemon,
Mm.
and we're doing this waiting. 200, it's only 200 days away. I usually am like pretty aware of it, but I do like it when it's like, oh my gosh, it's so soon, like when it sneaks up like that.
Totally. I think for Scarlet and Violet, they definitely withheld much more, which was nice because there were genuinely surprises when I played that game, like evolutions in particular, that were really cool to like experience rather than like, you know, be like, oh, I already know what this is and how it evolves and yada yada. Like, it's nice to try to like figure that out in a new game, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that this Scarlet and Violet is the current, like, whatever the opposite of a darling is for the internet, but history will
Like-
history will know the good things that they did do in these games.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe one of my favorite changes in any Pokemon game, along the lines of what you were just saying, is being able to see. So like you catch Pikachu, for instance, Pikachu's number 25, and then your Pokédex gives you the silhouettes for 24 and 26.
Yeah.
This, that sounds like nothing. That's nothing. You tell me that's nothing, and it's nothing, but that feeling of like, you're just like you're fussing around in game because you just caught something new and you're just like checking on stuff, and then you like flip to the next page because it's there, and there's like for me specifically, it was Robot Delibird when I saw like, because you see its silhouette and it's just a black shape, and I really was like, whoa, like is that what I think it is? Like, is this? Is that it? Are we doing this? Like that was like a level of soft intrigue that delighted me to no end. I think I it was either the freaking snail, Wo Chien, everybody's favorite Pokemon, Wo Chien, or Tinglu, the big bull guy in the silhouette, and I was just like, I mean, because your brain does so much work on these things. Like that's we gotta get in touch with like the child whimsy of Pokemon, of really any games. But they throw you these bones where it's like, what could it be? You should dream about it before you immediately look at the game facts or whatever. I'm 100 years old going on game facts whenever I have a problem.
Yeah, I really like the direction that provides to a player. I feel like Sun and Moon, actually, in their Pokedex, they did a great job of like, when you got a Pokemon that was a part of like a family or like a line, it had a page that it shared.
Oh yeah.
And you would also see like the silhouettes of the rest of that line, and it like conveyed like, hey, you caught this, I don't know, Jang Mo-O, and there's these two other silhouettes just to show you like it's going to evolve 2 more times.
Oh, I reckon that's that's the good stuff. That is the good stuff.
It's just like good conveyance, and it's, so often you can be left wondering like, this thing could evolve, it might not. I don't know, like you look at like a Sableye, right? You're like, this could get bigger, maybe, I don't know.
I guess, yeah, but it did sort of.
It did in a way, I guess,
in a way.
but then it reverts.
Yeah. Oh, that's those family pages. I'm enamored by that, because they had like a pockety version in Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is, I don't know, is that the best Pokédex? History, time will tell. I think that's probably my favorite because of the habitats and the families.
The habitats go crazy.
The habitats of the families feel really good.
Yeah.
So you got like, they're like paired by like I don't know, like Miltank is on the same page as Tauros because they're family friends or something, and even though they're not really related, but it feels so good because it's like, I don't know, it's actual biological data. This is what the Pokédex is all about.
Yeah.
What a great piece of technology.
Yeah, I love the Fire Red Leaf Green Pokédex for that exact reason. Yeah, I think the Pokédex should go that extra mile in every case, because otherwise it's just like a list, and that's not very exciting. The more that they lean into the biology of it, I guess.
That's exactly what I want the The list, well, because it's like such like it's like a game construct. Like when it's just a list and it's been just a list, it is such a game construct,
Right.
which is totally contrary to what they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And when it feels like the thing that they tell you, that it's like, oh, it's my ultimate encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
Like even I'll take crumbs when it comes to this thing,
Mm-hmm.
because like it is like any interactivity at all, like the little like the weight mini game
Mm-hmm.
in some of them, where you can like, it's like, oh, the Groudon weighs several cars, but Snorlax weighs just a handful of cars. How interesting. Like we can make these vast biological comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
How fascinating we are as researchers.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to be just the tiniest crumb for that, because I mean it's not gonna be a whole computer.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it could be. Well, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about like a GTA level phone inside of a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something. I'll have to ruminate on that one. The Pokédex doesn't have to be crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
it should be something.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Other than the ZA trailer, which we're not going to talk about the actual contents of it, but if you haven't seen it and you're curious, it was in the latest Nintendo Direct. But there's a couple other just like video things that are Pokemon related that I just wanted to shout out quickly. So on Pokemon Day, on the Japanese Pokemon YouTube channel, they released this like 13-minute animated video. It's called Dragonite and the Postman, and it's incredible.
Who's the postman?
Dragonite delivers mail. And
Dragonite and a postman?
I think it's Dragonite and the Postman is like,
Okay, but they're the same person.
they're this, maybe,
Wow.
but it's
The power
really,
of Dragonite.
it's really good. It's really well animated. It hasn't been translated yet, and like YouTube has like automatic captions or whatever, but they don't translate the names of Pokemon automatically because they're not real.
Yeah.
So
I love fire. That's my favorite Pokemon.
fire, thunder.
These guys are awesome.
They're sick. Frieza. Anyway, go watch Dragonite and the Postman. You don't even really need to understand what's happening to just like enjoy the animation in it. However, something that is fully translated and in English is Pokemon Horizons, which they announced the next season of. The poster for it shows that the characters have aged up for the first time.
Okay.
So not only did Horizons give us a new like protagonist in Liko, but also in the span of like 3 seasons, they have aged the protagonist up when Ash stayed 10 the whole time. Thoughts, feelings, questions, concerns?
No, that's big. I mean, for like, you said the anime, and like, I gotta be real. For as I was thinking, is like why are we talking about the anime? Like, who cares? Frankly, I'm not gonna walk around those words any more than I already have. But no, that's like, it's like, whoa, that's a big deal. There's certain things that the anime could do that would get me to stop and look. Like Ash winning was obviously one of those that got me to watch the show again. Of like, oh, it looks like he's gonna win, and he wins. Okay, I'll do that. And this, that's chronological, concisely driven storytelling. Yeah, I'll stop and look at that. Okay. Yeah, you reeled me in for sure. I was totally brought over from the who gives a damn camp, so that's cool.
Yeah. I haven't really dug into Horizons yet, but I would like to, just because I think like they're doing more, like they have more freedom, I think, to differentiate from the games narratively, more than ever. So yeah, I think Horizons is worth watching.
It looks fun.
Yeah.
I could put it on. I could stand to put it on.
Yeah. And then the last thing I just wanted to shout out is on Pokemon's official YouTube channel, there is a docu-series, I guess. It's called Pokemon Road to Worlds, and it follows Wolf Glick and Marcus, I think Stadter. I don't remember how to pronounce his
Everybody
last name.
knows Wolf Glick, but
Everyone
not
knows
Marcus.
Wolf. But so
Marcus, I'm so sorry.
that's legitimately kind of a plot point of the documentary. Is Marcus sort of like he's like, everyone knows who finishes first, and some people in the scene maybe remember who finished second, right? No one remembers third and lower, and he's basically like, I am third and lower. And that's...
But is he like third? Who is he?
Well, Marcus is he's friends with Wolf, and but also like very good in his own right. And so part of the documentary is about like, part of it follows Wolf very closely, and part of it also chronicles like Marcus sort of like being in his shadow a little bit, which is kind of a crazy thing for like a Pokemon documentary to do. But anyway,
that's interesting.
It's
go watch it, folks.
It's really good. That's all.
And tell me how it was. I'm not gonna. That is interesting.
And they follow a handful of other people. They follow Rosemary. I don't remember her last name. One of the casters. I know I'm not a real journalist.
You did not bring your A game to the shout out.
Did not do my research. Anyway, Rosemary, she's an awesome caster for VGC, and they follow her closely as well as she like tries to like improve as a caster for the video game, which is very cool. Anyway,
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a very like well-rounded look at VGC. I think they're trying to like, genuinely, I think they're making a very concerted effort to get more people interested in competitive Pokemon Champions, about to be another like example of that. But this documentary feels like they have kind of a golden goose in Wolf, and they're, I think, trying to make the most of it.
Sure. I have like a whole, I don't know, I'll go on a rampage up and down about that. Like, if they want to make VGC more people play it, maybe like there's like a I don't know, a canyon. There's like a knowledge canyon, and they don't help by the way that they deal with terminology and strategy. They're very insistent about their personal terms. It's only a small part of things, I guess. In my opinion, don't tear me a new one because I don't really play VGC, but I know a thing or two about teaching. I think like the jump from like getting into it to like, and of course like Wolfie is the GOAT, but this like the jump from like, I don't know, not going 0-2. Yeah, the jump from like I guess like building your first team to not going 0-2, I think is pretty astronomical in like even in like the small scale of things. Like it is a complicated game that requires a lot of stuff, like many things that you need in vast quantities. And so I don't know. I mean, if they're like, I don't know, getting people excited, but from like communities that I've always been a part of, like the bottleneck is always with knowledge and the ability to like communicate not just game sense, but like I guess kind of like game a large, like a more holistic game sense. I don't think that those systems really exist for Pokemon. There are people in the space who are working like hard just because they want to spread the word of their favorite game. Based on the way, this is just like an impression, based on the way that they talk about it and like show it off. Like, sure, I totally agree with you that it's like, yeah, showing off our guy and like, here's all these stories. But it really seems like the guy that they're trying to get to play is like 5-year-old Charlie who really likes water gun versus somebody who was like I could get into, I could compete. I could get into this.
I disagree. I don't think, I think they're going after like adults with their recent efforts, and I think they're trying to convey to adults that like this is a legitimate game and people take it seriously, and it is hard. They're almost, I don't know, throwing down the gauntlet in that regard. But yes, you're right. Like the games themselves don't do a great job of like actually onboarding you into competitive in a reasonable way, and it is largely the work of fans trying to like educate on Pokemon's behalf for sure.
And I get you more. I'm with you after that point of, I guess to me it comes across like it comes across as they're like fishing for a common denominator, because like the logical follow up to like everything you just said, which is true, is like this is a serious game for real competitors. Where's the documents? Where's the research? Where's the matchups? Where's the tables? Like all that good stuff that is like something that I guess just like amazed me as a Pokemon player. Like I was getting a little bit into Street Fighter 6 when I went like the home page is like Capcom's website for Street Fighter 6. You click on a character, all of their frame data is available. Combos you can do, essentially like strengths and weaknesses of the character, but the frame data is the big thing. It's like that is a huge documentation of like availability of resources and use cases. I just plainly think Pokemon has a long way to go in that department. Obviously, they've done a great job. It's in the vein of easier than ever before to build a team, but that's probably like where the canyon begins. I built a team. Beating somebody like tournament play, you have a canyon's jump in front of you to not going 0-2 at like a regional or something.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe Champions is like the first real time that Pokemon themselves, like via their game, actually tries to onboard people.
I hope so. I think you can kind of see like, and it's interesting because it like wasn't them famously, but you can see like hints of that in XD and Coliseum, where there's enemy NPCs that are showing you kits that are like, this is legitimate. Ein, the Cypher boss, is kicking your ass because he has a Levitate user alongside an Earthquake user and is just spamming Earthquake. Just like, sure, that's like simple. I don't know. That's like, I guess like baby's first doubles trick,
right?
Kind of. But the game is like throwing that at you, and it's like not only is it like, hey, check out this cool move, but hey, deal with it. And then like it kind of it throws the challenge at you to like, I don't know, like it's like a chess thing of like, okay, like evolve the evolution, like there's like a back and forth where it's like, okay, you can beat this, you can dish it out, can you take it to the next level now, because this is what the game is throwing at you.
Yeah. And imagine if they made a doubles focused or even like doubles exclusive game with all of the new mechanics that have since been added since Gen 3, terrain for one. Like I think that the addition of just the terrains in Gen 7 is like where, the amount of just different like effects, I don't know, like field effects, I guess, terrain, weather, trick room, or tailwind, all of these things that are just like, it's a lot to keep track of. Yeah, so it's become even more complicated than the days of XD, certainly. But even XD, so what you mentioned with the Ein battle, that was like during the story, so that was something that you like had to interface with. But even if you decided to like go beyond that and like interface with some of that game's extra features, the battle CDs, I think, in that game do a great job of like teaching you some other pretty niche interactions. Like they force you to learn, for instance, that Gust does more damage against a Pokemon that is in the air, as an example.
Yeah, that's which is like, who's doing that ever, but also like
it's cool to know.
Every tool matters in the ultimate competitive environment, especially Absolutely. When there's like the back and forth like mental game of like, they know I'm gonna, like they know I know, or they know that I know that they know. I need to do that, like I guess like fifth exponent preparation. Like every tool should be in play. That's a pretty, I was thinking that, and then you like had that very good example, like just like, I don't know, where's like, I hope that Champions, what is it called, Champions? Okay, I hope that Champions has like a dedicated tutorial combo mode type of thing of like, yeah, this seems right for the game of like activate, like you get missions, like that's pretty classic in games. I feel like I see that pretty frequently where like they're essentially tutorials, but they're like pull off this combo, and it'd be like, I don't know, like activate unburden and then sweep or something. Like that could be a tutorial mission right there, or like pull off a harvest stall, like last 3 turns with Tropius using harvest. And those are, for I guess the most acute listeners, those are like I'm describing single strategies because the only game mode I play is random battles.
But something similar for like a VGC rule set.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
They've got everything down, it feels like, except for the interactions. But the interactions are everything.
Yeah. If they crafted battle CD style puzzles for champions, that would go crazy. That would be such a great way to onboard people, I think, and like get them used to like specific cases that they might very well come across in a real fight against someone else. Yeah, I would love to see that happen for champions.
Even if it's basic, it like makes you think. Like you start thinking in the environment,
right?
By like, but that's why it's be such a minute difference. And it's like, it's because like, and it's good, like Pokemon as a game is so narratively driven, but they don't ask you to specifically, hey, use like solve problems in creative ways. Like, I mean, this is why the meme of like I only pick damaging moves when I level, like what's Stun Spore? It doesn't do damage. I don't care. Like that meme is alive and well as a result of their own like game direction.
Right. Yeah. This episode of Petalburg Woods is brought to you by the Devon Corporation. Introducing the all-new Timer Ball, the perfect Pokeball for catching even the most stubborn Pokemon. It's simply a matter of time when you have Timer Balls with you. With incredible new technology from the minds of the Devon Corporation, the Timer Ball improves your chances of catching a Pokemon the longer the battle goes on. At the beginning of a battle, it's as potent as a regular Pokeball, but after 30 turns, the Timer Ball boasts an astonishing 400% increased catch rate, the likes of which have yet to be seen from Pokemon catching technology. Harness the power of time with the Timer Ball, courtesy of the Devon Corporation. Find yours today at the Rustboro Pokemart for the low price of 1,000 Pokedollars. Use code Petalburg at checkout to save 10% off your purchase. Devon Corporation, for all your living needs, we make it all. Thanks again to the Devon Corporation for sponsoring today's episode. Now, back to the show.
Take the stage, so to speak, for your big piece today, because I'm going to need to be convinced that, for one, that Emerald is better, that Emerald is definitive, and that they're worse. I think that goes hand in hand with you saying that Emerald is definitive and I suppose better by that metric. But Capreo has come to me today to give the case for Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Gen 6, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, the differences, the pros, the cons. Take it away.
Well, I don't know that, like, definitive isn't maybe the way to describe Emerald, because there is plenty that Emerald leaves to be desired that I think ORAS does a good job of, like, kind of fixing. But I think we'll get into that.
Yeah, I think you should speak to that, because I like those games. And
yeah. So I don't want to start off on like a bad foot, right? Like I like ORAS. I don't want to, I think like BDSP, I think are pretty universally agreed to be bad remakes, and
we'll just call them bad games.
Yeah. And like they are definitively not an improvement on the original Sinnoh games. Even base Diamond and Pearl, I think BDSP are not anywhere near as good as those games. So then I think Platinum, far and away, is the best way to play Sinnoh, right? And there's no argument there. So then Emerald, in this case with Hoenn, and ORAS being the remake for the Hoenn region, what did they improve on? Well, I think the Dex Nav, for starters. I think that's a great addition to the series.
I'm with you 100%. That really gets me going. Oh my God, I love Dex Nav. Yeah, it sounds like they're better so far, but keep going.
This one, I think, I mean, this being a Gen 6 game, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it has the experience share on party wide, and I think like there are arguments to be made on both sides about like whether that is an improvement or not. But I think for the sake of, for argument's sake, I guess, I don't know. We're just gonna say that that's an improvement.
We're debate perverts.
Sure. We'll just say that that is the party wide experience share introduced in Gen 6 is also a benefit for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Okay?
I think it is. I was delighted to be able to be in Hoenn and not like I very specifically remember getting stuck in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and it's like, yell at me all day long for putting Farfetch'd on my main team, like,
Farfetch'd
sue
is
me.
goated.
I like Chiding, okay?
We love
I got
Chiding.
Chiding. I used it, didn't go super hot. He was gonna need to be a little over leveled to deal with the stuff at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen for me because I insisted on using a party of 6.
Mm.
These EXP share games, especially for like familiar places,
Mm-hmm.
like you get to have this like kind of revival. I don't remember what I got stuck with anything, if anything, in Ruby Sapphire or Emerald. But I remember very specifically in Omega Ruby being like, oh my goodness, I am not locked into using Crobat. I don't Crobat is my main guy right now, but I want to start using Gardevoir. Like I think it's time, and that's something that like I guess growing as a Pokemon fan, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like petering off to a point, but like having like a big rotating party, and this was one of the first games where the rotating party was like actually possible because of the EXP share. That feels really good to me. And I guess if you're like, I don't know, you're like an anime protagonist type player where you're either like the Typhlosion head from Gen 2 where it's like Typhlosion and 5 Pidgeys. That's a pretty classic team.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've got my main 6. I'm not using anybody else. Like I have my special battle squad. That is like, and those are like both real. I think that's like real, fine and fun also. Like I've played both of those games and that's fun. But the rotating team it was not possible pre Gen 6. I think, I don't know, would you disagree with that? You had to work pretty hard to get a rotating team.
Yeah, I think even like it's almost unreasonable to expect someone to have a team of 6, and often people would have a team of 4 or 5 and an HM user.
Absolutely.
It's uncommon for the most part for someone to have like a full team of 6, let alone more than 6. I don't think like if you're replacing part of your team, then whoever was there is going in the box and staying in the box.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're not coming back.
They're floating down the river, I fear.
Yeah. So yeah, I like XP share being party wide definitely like allows for that. And ORAS, again being a Gen 6 game, has the benefit of Mega Evolution and introduced a bunch of cool megas in those games that weren't in X and Y. Obviously gave megas to the Hoenn starters. I know Blaziken was an X and Y first, but both Sceptile and Swampert getting megas and a whole bunch of other Hoenn Pokemon became maybe more usable or at least more interesting to use than maybe they were previously. And so that's cool to give those Pokemon like a new lease on life
in a familiar place. Like that's I think that's the totally big draw there specifically, because it's like, X and Y, all these new megas. That's like when you're getting the big mega bats, but it's like it's a new place. This is like a new ground with megas in mind, I suppose. But like you're getting kind of like you're getting both here. Like here's a familiar playground. We're gonna throw in the new tool. We're gonna throw in the new tool, and now like one that like took me by storm. I guess they were in X and Y also, but it's like now that they're like part of the main game, it's like Mawile, not a joke anymore. You should catch Mawile. You should use its mega, and you should go absolutely bonkers because this is a kind of unbelievable Pokemon now.
And even before it mega evolves, a bunch of Pokemon gained the fairy type, which is just an inherent boon in and of itself.
Yeah, it is probably the most valuable type to gain, I would say.
It's a great type. It's a broken type, arguably. And so yeah, that gave a bunch of Pokemon, Mawile especially, again, more of a reason maybe to be picked for a team for a playthrough where maybe if you were playing through Ruby, you might pass over Mawile. Omega Ruby? Sorry?
I sure did.
Yeah.
Mawile was not making the cut in Ruby. Like, it maybe does it even get any steel type moves like on its base in Gen 3?
Maybe Metal Claw. Maybe I couldn't tell you.
It's not looking good for Mawile.
Maybe I feel like it gets Iron Head, but maybe not in Gen 3.
Not in Gen 3.
Okay.
It is a rough life in Gen 3, and it was a new standalone steel type.
Yeah.
So, the world was its oyster in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So I like this bubble that I think it's like you're saying, it's best captured by the megas, but just like the bubble of new experiences and tools in the familiar playground, and how that is like transformative just by itself, even though it's two things that we're technically used to at this point.
Yeah. So those are a couple things that I think pretty easy to agree that are cool, are good, are welcome additions to the game. Here's where they become an issue.
Oh no.
Other than DexNav. DexNav is a all-around good thing. I have no issues with DexNav. I think DexNav is awesome.
It's a perfect, beautiful creature that can never do any wrong, and anyone who hates it is unwell. I hate to say it.
And I am not unwell.
I'm not unwell either, and I guess they say that 1 out of every 3 people is unwell, and if I'm not unwell and you're not unwell,
it's gotta be. I hate to break it to you. So the XP share. I really prefer playing a game where that is a held item that I can give to a new member of my team that isn't party wide. The reason XP share being party wide feels bad is because you likely are going to use one Pokemon and the rest of your team is going to still reap the benefits, but they're not nearly as often going to participate in fights. You're going to have your main, I don't know, your starter, or maybe it's a Gardevoir or whatever, but you're going to have a Pokemon that is kind of far and away better than the rest of your team, just like by the virtue of their moveset or whatever, right? Their typing. And then the rest of your team is kind of just going to get brought along for the ride, and they're going to more or less keep up in levels. But for the most part, you're not going to actually use your whole team. You're going to have them in your party, and they're going to keep up, but they're not actually going to be in fights very often. So that's my issue, I think, with XP share being a party-wide thing. And the beautiful thing about the XP share being a held item in the Hoenn region is when it is given to you. And first, after you beat Roxanne, after you beat the first gym, you go to the Devon Corp, you go to the top floor, you talk to the president. The president's like, hey, can you deliver this letter to my son? He's in Dewford. He's in this cave. And you're like, hell yeah, I can absolutely do that for you. So then you go to Dewford, you go in the cave, you find Steven, you give him the letter. He's like, great, can you give this letter back to my dad? You do that. You kind of have to go out of your way to do that, to go back to Rustboro, go to Devon Corp, and then go all the way up to the top floor and talk to the president again. But if you do that before you've even beaten the second gym, you have the XP share, which is so early and good because it allows you to add pretty much any, like you can catch and add pretty much any new Pokemon in the game at that point to your team, and it doesn't feel like such an ordeal to level them and get them like up to the point that you want them to be so they match the rest of your team level wise, compared to like in Kanto. You don't get the experience share until like Fuchsia City, which is very late in the game. It's arguably too late. So I like that in the Hoenn region they give you the XP share as a held item early, and it really it's so much more satisfying to me to catch a new guy and then give them the experience share and like focus on making that new member of your team, like get them caught up with the rest of your team that you've been using, and also like using the team that you have already to kind of like help that new member of your team out and like get them to that point. It feels better to have the experience share focus that one Pokemon rather than cover the entirety of the team. So that's why I am a big fan. I'm a big proponent of like XP share being a held item rather than like a party-wide XP boost.
I was not with you. You reeled me back in with the idea of the free slot. I have never considered the XP share as essentially a slot on your team when you get it. If you're playing a certain way, I don't know. You're at the point that you're describing. You got like 2 badges. You're probably running 3, maybe 2, but you're probably no more than 3, like actually in use.
Right.
Unless you're, I don't know, doing something ridiculous. But the idea of the XP share being, it's like that's a guarantee. That's like a sub in slot. Like you just got like a voucher for a working team member. That's cool. You've kind of reeled me in with this idea. That's a very, I don't know, like interesting logical way to look at the item. And I don't think before that like I really have felt like every like, oh, XP share should be the old way has always sounded like whinging to me. I don't feel like I've ever heard it put as eloquently as that, of that like in this role play, which I have some, I feel like there's a lot of like intersecting thoughts about like the significance of the role play here, but in this role play, like the team really matters. This is a slot. You just got a voucher for another Pokemon that matters, and you want Pokemon that matter, but they're hard work.
Yes,
they're hard work to like have a well balanced group of guys that isn't just, I don't know, Typhlosion and the Pidgeys. Yeah. The old reliable, but it's really just Typhlosion. That's cool. I think I'm with you in regards to that value. And I guess like furthermore, what I'm thinking here is, I guess like the weakness of the, I do really like the rotating team. I really like the rotating team. However, I think you're right. I don't know if you were communicating this like directly, but I think you're right in the way that it isn't. It should be like, it shouldn't be the player's job to roleplay the game. I'm playing a game. The game, you can roleplay in the game. I'm not saying it's like Nuzlocke or like a literal like I'm an electric type trainer in this, but like stuff like the kind of like the confines of the game, that should be the game's job, I think. Where you pointed something out, this I feel like it's a crucial little note with it. What other trainer in any game like pre Gen 6 is carrying 6 it was not like, but who has like a normal thing going on, because there's Magikarp guy and there's Bug guy, but your rivals end the game with 4 and 5. That feels like inconsistent communication, or at least like we're bigger than our britches are currently. Like you're given this sandbox that is much larger than the availability you have to actually play in it. And I guess like the logic seems, I guess, is true in a different way by virtue of I don't know, it's not that you don't have to work for it, but it's like those are the confines of the game. You got the XP share on the whole team, and you can just run it down. I think there's like with an EXP share that's always on. I think there is really an argument to be made. I know these are some of like the most annoying barriers in games. I think there's really an argument to be made for like in-world barriers. Usually in most games now, there is a trainer at some point who's like, whoa, 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 you cannot go any further with only one Pokemon. You must have two. And that is like a logistic requirement that they usually do, because there's a lot of like older games had a lot of soft locks. Like only one Pokemon could result in some pretty easy soft locks after a certain point. There were a lot of creative ways that they employed to get around that. But I think that was a thing in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that I think incentivized kind of like the correct roleplay sort of. Like you go to any of the gyms and the guy is like, he's got kind of complicated requests for you. I mean, they're mostly to do with the Pokédex, but it could be like, hey, I need you to show me, and I think there actually is one that they do this. I need you to show me not just one Pokemon that's level 50, but I need you to show me a couple Pokemon that are level 50. Otherwise, I'm not letting you in here. It's a sign of a weak trainer. You are a weakling if you have Typhlosion in the Pidgeys. But any reasoning could be given to that of just cook up a scenario, y'all. Like, I don't know, we're going on a mission that requires 3 strong Pokemon, and I'm not gonna let you go on it without 3 strong Pokemon.
Yeah, it feels more concrete than maybe just like the badge check, because you could have gotten the badge with your single Typhlosion and the Pidgeys.
Typhlosion's the GOAT. He's gonna get the badges. Like, that's what we know about Typhlosion. So yeah, it's not an effective check.
But are you well-rounded? So I think functionally, like XP share being on for the entire party, it achieves the same thing, right? It levels the new member of your party the same amount that giving it an XP share as a held item would. The difference is the XP share for the whole party is leveling the whole party. And that sounds obvious, obviously. But the difference is giving the XP share as a held item to the new guy, to the newest member of the squad, makes it feel like so much more of a project. To me, you get so much more invested, and it becomes so much more satisfying when they do finally catch up, and then you get to a point where they are doing the battling, and then there is another new member of the team that they are like getting the experience for, because now they can hold their own, and it's so much more satisfying when that happens. And I feel like it doesn't happen as much in the games where the XP share is party wide. And then you've probably heard the argument where someone will say, if you don't like the party wide XP share, you can just turn it off. The issue with that is that XP share as a held item then is no longer available. So I think all I'm missing from like new Pokemon games is just XP share to be it to be a held item again.
You think that hits the perfect balance?
Yeah, I think like provide party-wide. I'm not saying get rid of it, because plenty of people appreciate it, and like that's great, because for them it means that the game has become less grindy, and that's a good thing, because that means that they get to enjoy the game more. It means that they can play through it faster, and they likely are just playing through the story, right? And then they're going to move on and play probably a different game, right? I miss just the option, frankly, the choice. Like, if you're going to make party-wide XP share, just let that be a setting, and then let the experience share item be an item, and just do both. That's all. So it's not going to happen. In fact, you can't even turn off party-wide XP share anymore in the newer games. It is just, that is the direction that the games are going forever now. And that's fine, because that's how the newer games want to function. But at least it is something that makes me want to replay like Gens 6 through, I don't know, 8, I guess, a little bit less, just because of that one aspect. So that's my tirade on the XP share.
All of which is to say, maybe Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are shit compared to Ruby Sapphire.
No, not at all. It is just like a difference, I think, in the way Game Freak started to like approach Pokemon games. And I mean, Mossad has gone on record. Droomish, you know all of that.
It's my favorite interview. I love quoting this one, folks.
Yeah.
Smartphones are ruining Pokemon. Pokemon's fan base has been corrupted by smartphones and smartphone media, which is interesting because they have lots of apps now themselves. Really fascinating. I mean, he was famously, to this day, famously quoted in an interview saying that they, like, slightly more eloquently, tangentially, we cut the post-game battle facilities because player patience is going down, directly citing smartphones as the catalyst for this change. So,
Mhm.
hey, if there's something that's always true, smartphone bad, or Pokemon maybe also bad.
Pokemon too long, smartphone bad.
I guess. I mean, it's so interesting that he said that also, because it, like, I don't think this is true at all, but it's like, so are you saying that your games aren't very interesting? Like, I'm sorry you're losing to smartphone. Maybe you can make a more fun game, or like an
Hmm.
interesting narrative or something. Like, that's usually enough to tear people away from smartphone.
Hmm. You'd think. And I mean, there is truth to it, but that isn't a good enough reason to like water down your game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and the reason we mention it also, I should say, I
Uh-huh.
mean, this was specifically about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but it is seen, and it was the beginning of it was the initiation of a seeming, like, style shift from a
Hmm.
design point of view, where, like, the deep content is seeming less and less, and there's a
Hmm.
pretty clear trajectory there from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Really are like the when that intention was announced, and even until now, I mean, there's no battle tower at all now, and that
No.
was the item that was in contention here. They added it as a concession in those games,
Hmm.
and so now we're at nothing is the concession. So that was
Hmm.
the beginning of this. Oh, we don't need maybe this stuff at the end because people are putting the game down earlier. At least is what they're saying. I guess the jury's out on why they actually make these choices, but
Right. And it's not like ORAS don't have anything to do after you roll credits. There's so many Pokemon that they have just sort of jammed into these games. Legendaries are all pretty much every legendary that existed to that point in the series is available in ORAS. I think like just Kanto Birds and Mewtwo, because they're available in X and Y, and then Xerneas and Yveltal aren't in ORAS. I think pretty much everything else, every other legendary that existed in the series is in ORAS in some capacity through the Hoopa portals.
yeah.
And there were like I don't know, there's a variety of ways that you could like encounter them, and some of them like they put Lugia is in like the bottom
It's so
of
cool.
the
It's
abandoned
so
ship,
cool.
right?
It's
So they found places in the Hoenn region to like put these existing legendaries and stuff. So it's not like they completely removed as much, I don't know, post game from Hoenn as they could have. And in fact, that is one of the shortcomings of Emerald, is that Emerald doesn't really have much of a post game after you roll credits if you ignore the battle frontier.
I'm glad you said it. Somebody needed to. Like,
So they have, I mean, Pacific Log question mark, and then the
technically,
route west of Pacific Log, and they have the Reggie quest, and then I guess in Emerald specifically as well, you can get Kyogre and you can get Groudon.
Emerald is better. I do.
Emerald is better. Period.
You're absolutely, like, Ruby and Sapphire has virtually nothing, and then you go.
Yeah. Emerald adds a bit more than Ruby and Sapphire. Yes.
You can do the Reggie quest, I think, as soon as you. I guess. I think you can do it before you beat the game. I think it's like. I
Yeah, you just have to have Dive, which you get
okay.
from beating Tate and
Okay, so
Liza, and then you need to have a Relic Imp
that's
and a
very
Wailord.
late game, and it usually happens post
Yeah.
game. There's Groudon and Kyogre mini stories. There's
Mm-hmm.
Safari Zone extension, which, maybe that's just me thinking that is a really big benefit. There's
Yeah. It's
gym
something.
leader rematches.
Yeah.
We have your extracurriculars, but I do think it's like it's pretty
Right.
small.
there isn't like a new place to go is the issue. You're right. There's extracurriculars, but like you think about the whole other island of stuff in the Sinnoh region that you get to go to after you beat the league for the first time. That's a post game. So Emerald is sorely lacking in that department. Obviously, the asterisk there is the Battle Frontier, and I'm not like trying to discount the Battle Frontier, but if you ignore the Battle Frontier, there isn't really any other like world to explore is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, because I think it like, I don't know, I feel like this is almost like borderline like game philosophy kind of, because I guess if you choose to look at it a certain way, the Battle Frontier is like, if infinity is a size and you enjoy it, that is the biggest post game there is. However, your point
of
stands of, I feel like you could have like a whole like, I don't know, like a sociology study here of how like, is a roguelike infinite content? Yes and no. And that is, let's boil the Battle Frontier down to various forms of roguelikes. I think we can pretty safely call it, I don't know, the versions, if not just some of them I do think are true roguelikes. There's 7 facilities.
Yeah.
Factory, I think, is a pretty safe call. This is a roguelike. So is a roguelike infinite content? Yes and no. And but Pokemon's emphasis is on exploration, the world, the adventure. This is not an adventure. Infinite Battle Simulator, I'm going to conclude, is not the adventure that you described perfectly of the fight area, survival area, resort areas, the Sturk Mountain Island in Diamond and Pearl. You have an adventure. You need to go brave the wilds as champion.
And I remember being a kid, beating Emerald for the first time, being able to go to the Battle Frontier, going there, watering the Sudowoodo, catching it, being like, okay, going down that waterfall, going to the cave that is only Smeargle, and genuinely thinking, that's it? That's all that this is? Because if you remove the roguelike infinity equation, there's plenty to do, but there isn't anywhere new to go. That's my issue, I think, with the Emerald postgame. So how does ORAS decide to try to remedy this situation? Droomish, I'm afraid they went the fetch quest route.
I'm so mad at you for like, okay, this is the part we're gonna fight, because I was just thinking like, everybody calls it a fetch quest. You're void of whimsy and joy if you call it a fetch quest.
So there are really cool lore nuggets.
Just why don't you describe it first?
The Delta episode?
Give us. I'm a tiny bit rusty. Give us a brief rundown, because it is a little something.
So it is something, which I guess is more than I can say about what Emerald provides as far as content, I guess. So after you roll credits in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for the first time, you get to go into this post-game narrative called the Delta episode. And there is this new character. Her name is Zinnia.
Girly pop.
Girly pop. We love Zinnia. I think she's a great character. And basically, Zinnia is like a dragon master, and her whole deal is that she wants to catch or tame Rayquaza, and she wants to, I think, fly Rayquaza into a meteor that is hurling towards planet Earth or planet Pokemon. I don't know. And
yeah, who knows?
But basically, Zinnia is like the end of the world is imminent, but I can stop it if I just am strong enough of a dragon tamer and part of this like illustrious dragon bloodline to make Rayquaza mine and then save the world. However, Zinnia, I think, is also a bit of a thief.
Oh, she can't help it. She's at the Hot Topic, taking everything, I fear. But hey, just sometimes a girl's gotta thieve a little bit. It happens.
So I don't remember like the exact point A to point B to point C to point D of it all, but eventually you do end up at the Moss Deep space station. There's a lot of exposition there, And it's this sort of series opening third eye moment of Pokemon, and we kind of mentioned this in the last episode too, of like Pokemon sort of like winking and nodding at the idea of like parallel universes, and how this version of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is a parallel universe to like OG Ruby and Sapphire basically, but this version includes Megas and a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, there is a lot of exposition and dialogue in the Delta episode. There's a handful of battles against Zinnia, against a couple of other people, and then it sort of ends, spoilers by the way, in you getting Rayquaza, which is cool, and then immediately, and this is probably the coolest part, actually getting to catch Deoxys for the first time in the series outside of a mystery gift event, which is sick. Like, you today can get a used copy of Omega Ruby, play through the entire game, do the Delta episode, and then get a Deoxys. And I think that remains the only game that you can catch a Deoxys in, which is sick.
Hey, not to mention it's on a dragon in outer space fighting a space alien.
Right. Yeah, the presentation of that is very cool. I think, however, that the events throughout the Delta episode leading up to that very cool moment are effectively just fetch quests where you go to a place, you talk to a person, and then they say, now go here and talk to this person. And then you do that, and that sort of happens, I don't know, 10 times? I don't know that I'm exaggerating. It is not substantial enough to qualify as a post-game. It is just repurposing existing areas in the game. The only thing I can really think of is like the cave, what, Meteor Falls? They get you to go like deep into Meteor Falls during the Delta episode, where like OG Ruby Sapphire Emerald never really like pushed you in that direction. At least ORAS like pushes you in that direction via the Delta episode, which is cool. It's like that's an improvement.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Where they were like, hey, go to this place, because you would have needed to have gone there like based on your own exploration and your own
you gotta remember there's like a waterfall, which I guess is
right. It's one of those like early to mid game waterfall places that you might remember to go back to, but probably not.
I think that's some of the coolest.
Save that in my brain.
Coolest things that they can do, but it is also like I don't know. You might be asking too much. I forgot that it's cool that they go down there.
And that has some like lore with like the dragon, like the Zinnia's bloodline, because there's like dragon trainers in there and stuff. Anyway, that is like one of the only examples I can think of like a place that you go to in the Delta episode that like is cool. But even then, it's still, I don't know, revisiting an area that it still isn't exploring new places. It's going to previously explored places. Like you move so like sporadically around the map. I couldn't imagine doing the Delta episode without a Pokemon that knows fly. And like they give you one of the coolest things in the franchise is the ability to fly on one of the Latias in ORAS. So you don't even really need a flyer, because you can just do that. But still, the amount of just like darting around from place to place to place, it is so... Droomish, I'm sorry, it is just fetch quests.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can very much appreciate the going around old places. That is a pretty critical weakness of it, I think. I'm gonna propose a different name for the very uncharitable fetch quest.
Please.
How about a visual novel? Because I love it for that reason. That's why I think it's so good, right? I mean, hey, what is life but a series of fetch quests? I think it's a pretty depressing way to look at things. My favorite things in this, obviously, you get like a whole thing where Rayquaza goes Mega Mode, you fly into space on its back, you cut the meteor, Deoxys comes out, and then like does the Lugia Mr. Beast attack on you. Those who know. and then you fight it in outer space, and it is like dynamic cinema from a Pokemon game, but you get a lot of character tidbits along the way. You mentioned the lore stuff. I thought that was fascinating when I did it for the first time. The other thing that really, I mean, Zinnia was just, you learn about this character, Zinnia. That's cool. But I liked that May slash Brendan is a person in the Delta episode who you can
Yep.
have a conversation with. They love those designs to death, love them to death. They did not get their justice or their moment in the originals. And this episode, you get an extra battle with them. I think you might even get two. And they're just further characterized as, like, I don't know, maybe Pokemon has been doing this character archetype too often, but someone who is trying really hard and is having to come to terms with they're not that great at the thing that they want to do, but they do have talents, and they're figuring out what those talents are. Wally gets some exploration in there. And then my favorite, the one that like had me like giggling to myself, where I'm like kicking my legs behind me, was getting some actual, because okay, so Zinnia is targeting all the other Mega Stone holders, and that's why you're going to these old places. That's the meaning behind it, because she needs to get all the Mega Stones so that she can be like the chosen Dragon Rider or something like that. They are MacGuffins. That's not in the question. I think the one that like touched me, I suppose, and made me think like, this is really special. I hope they do shades of this. Like, this has a home in Pokemon. I think it's a long overdue component of these games. Is two of the Megastone holders are the evil bad guys, are Archie and Maxie. You get a very interesting look on their after you beat the game. Like, they just go away. Like, you beat them, but this game, they're not like crazy evil guy like Giovanni is. It's like, presumably Giovanni has to go into hiding, or otherwise he's gonna go to jail when you beat him. He has to go hide in the woods. Archie and Maxie, actually, they're like, people don't love them, but they're like kind of given a pass, I guess, at the end of these games. They almost cause a cataclysm, which is not good, but you stop it in time, and they help you enough where like the authorities of the region, the gym leaders or whatever, are like, you can go, like, just please don't do that again. And you get to meet them and talk to them like post regret, because they have regrets. And it was you get two. I mean, one of the big things was like, somebody tells you is like, they used to be on the same team. They were like actually like really big buddies. Something weird happened though. Like, they kind of have a weird falling out. That was like, jaw dropped. Like, oh, that's, tell me more. But then I think I can't, I don't have any other words. Like, they were people in the Delta episode. You meet them like they convey shame. They convey gentleness to their teammates. They convey kind of foreboding about what's going on, and I thought that was so special. I mean, this is a grain of sand, admittedly. It is a game's job to provide meaningful mechanics behind interactions. And so like a visual novel works because you sign up for a visual novel and then you get a visual novel. The game does not have to take care of you while you're doing the visual noveling. Which is why I think I do ultimately agree with you. But there is really I think they could have planted a seed here for the Pokemon visual noveling that their characters can so powerfully deliver on. There's crumbs of it here and there where it's like, oh my gosh, you are actually a person and I just got to talk to you. That is what is so strong about the Delta episode for me, because it is one of their best shots at character writing. One of their maybe most valiant attempts at character writing. I don't even know if, I mean, it is Pokemon's always going to be Pokemon. I don't even know if it does a complete home run, and it is also me saying, oh my gosh, you're a person in a character in a game that is 20 something years old is not a good look for that series at large. But to make that foray, regardless, it feels really good. And when those stories happen where it's it's so special in Pokemon is the perfect place for it. They know it in the animation, and I think there's kind of a safeguard in the animation. I know it's hard in these games, but I saw what I felt like was a rare and special attempt at letting you talk to the world.
The first time I experienced the Delta episode, and I did read everything, I thought it was very cool. The second time,
don't play it a second time, folks. Don't ever play it a
Well,
second time unless you want a Deoxys real bad.
I played Alpha Sapphire, and then I wanted to play Omega Ruby. So then I played Omega Ruby, and then I had to do the Delta episode again. And I was like, this again, though? I was like, once you kind of know it, and I agree, if you frame it as a visual novel, I think they do some cool stuff. But sort of going through the motions of it, unfortunately,
right? Because
feels.
Those are so now that you've done it once, those are mechanical barriers, and the point isn't visual novel. There is a very meaningful and powerful reward at the end of the Delta episode, which is both Mega Rayquaza and Deoxys. And it's interesting. I think all the time that it's like such like a archaic system. I think a lot of modern games would really benefit from like the NES era password system of like,
right.
I have played through this dialogue. I have played through this movie before. Actually, I have the password to prove it. Let me skip this part.
I completely agree. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be interesting if they did something similar to the key system in Black 2 and White 2, but for something like that, where like if you've beaten a game once, let me play through the other one faster. That would be sick.
I don't even. I'm mostly asking myself here, but write in from viewers at home. Please write in. I mean, is it a weakness or is it a strength? I don't even know. I do want it to have its flowers. Like I think it is. There is unique benefit, and that's why it's to me it is worth talking about. It is worth talking about what it was able to do, and like as a touchstone for like future development. I think you can see something in Scarlet and Violet. What I think a lot of people consider the best part of the game is like the zero episode, if you will, at the end when you finally team up with your friends and there is character writing in it, and you watch your friends interact with each other. Is like. I felt similarly in that. I was like, this is there were like a lot of positive changes there. I think we could draw a really clear line from like the first time you go to Area Zero to the first time you do the Delta episode. They force you to walk. Miraidon is sick or whatever, and you have to listen to your friends talk, and you sort of get railroaded through the story, but it's a lot more gentle with the player.
Yeah.
I have to think that something of a blueprint in the Delta episode. But
yeah,
I almost still want to say like overall, like I might agree with you. It is a weakness overall of the game in a vacuum. And I mean, it's a great Let's Play YouTube content if you need that, if you need to see that. But also if you ever want Deoxys, don't watch it beforehand because you will be stuck. Given it's appreciated for the an attempt at something unique that there is like soul inside of, that's real. Like it feels real. Now I think I'm kind of with you. It's ultimately misplaced in that iteration. And now that I have the Area Zero episode, yes, I feel like I can pretty safely say I don't know. There is more bad than good here. I'm with you. I think there's let's say there's too much. There's more clunk than great for me to like really recommend. Lots of clunk. I would recommend it to a certain person, but you're right. The clunk clunks.
The clunk clunks, and there's too much of it. I think the Delta episode could have absolutely been shaved by a lot, and it still would have had the same effect. Like if it was, I don't know, just meet Zinnia and then like go to the space station and then go to Sky Pillar, and like those were the only 3 places, that would be great. I think like a bunch of the stuff in between, basically to kind of pad out the time and make that Delta episode feel more substantial by making it longer, I think was a detriment to it overall. And again, just literally darting around the map like a mad person, did not help its case, I fear.
That's where I mean that's like those are the points where the visual novel breaks. Like when you have to you there's not many visual novels where you like actually have to fetch. And I mean it's not a completely unfair criticism of it. I mean that's not untrue at all. There's a clash. Like it's you can get into it, and then you have to go fetch something, and then you have to go fetch something else, and it's it's spotty, and I don't think at any point during it is like, I don't know, maybe it's like a visual vignette, I guess. At any point where it's like the one part where it's like really really cinematic, and I think most people agree is like a standout moment for it, is Zinnia explaining the possibility of multiple timelines, because you like kind of get locked into this theater mode, the camera shifts, and she starts talking, and there is some stuff to think about, and that's, I don't, outside of the space battle, I think that's the standout moment of the episode. Is the cinema. There's a moment of cinema that occurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than obviously the Rayquaza and Deoxys fight, for what the Delta episode offers narratively, that bombshell still like remains in my memory after not having actually gone through the Delta episode in like a decade.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
It was a. We could spend an entire, I don't know, several episodes talking about if there were even any like real ramifications of that and like where things have gone from there. But the bombshell that was at the time, it remains relevant. Like I guess just as like a series capability. Like, whoa, they did that regardless of what has happened since.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I actually haven't really talked about Emerald that much, believe it or not. Just a couple of things about like the Hoenn region that I really appreciate. The way that the map of Hoenn is designed, I really, really like. It has this western side that you do the first half of the game in, and then it isn't until after you beat Norman that then you can cross the tiny river east of Mauville and go to the eastern side of the map and make your way to Fortree and yada yada. There is this really cool and well-designed portion of the map. So after you beat Flannery and you get the 4th gym badge, your next step is Norman, right? Norman is the 5th gym. You don't have Fly yet, so you have to make your way back to Petalburg by foot. And there's a few different ways that you can go about doing this. You also don't have Surf yet, so that there any way that you could surf to Petalburg is also out of the question. The way that the game sort of like, there's also no immediate like new route that's like, there's no route that's like on the way to Petalburg with new trainers that's gonna have a bunch of fights for you to do to level up before the 5th gym. So you are greatly incentivized after your rival gives you, I think, the go-go goggles. You are greatly incentivized to go to the desert and explore the desert, do all of the trainer battles in the desert. Maybe you catch a new Pokemon for your team in there, whatever, right? Then you can make your way from the desert. Maybe you go down to Mauville, and then you take Cycling Road down to Slateport, and then you can take the boat with Mr. Briny to Dewford and then to Petalburg, and that's how you get back to Petalburg. Maybe you go the other way. Once you get to Mauville, maybe you go west. You go to Verdanturf. You go through the Verdanturf Rustboro Tunnel that I forget the name of, that I think is like a combination of the name of those two towns. Rustturf Tunnel, thank you so much. You go through Rustturf Tunnel, you make your way to Rustboro, you go south, you go through the forest, you hop some ledges, and that way you make your way to Petalburg. So there's 2 different ways that by foot / by Mr. Briny you can make your way to Petalburg that are very well designed and intentional. What does ORAS do? Do you remember? After you beat Flannery, do you remember what happens in ORAS?
I think they warp you, maybe.
Your rival gives you the go-go goggles and then says, do you want to come with me to Petalburg? And you can just say yes and skip that entire portion of well-designed map to just port directly to Petalburg. And that's at a detriment to you, because you don't get any levels in between. You don't get to do any fights in between. You just go direct. You just go directly to Petalburg. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You go directly to the 5th gym and are thrust into these fights against these X-attack, X-item abusing trainers, cool trainers that you made a whole video about.
Love them. Love them to death.
And it skips this really cool and well-designed portion of the game, and I hate that in the interest of player convenience that your rival even asks if you want to teleport. So that is, that boils my blood. Okay, Here's the other big problem with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and it goes by the little name
Oh my goodness.
of, depending on the version you play, Mega Latios and Mega Latias. Holy shit, what were they thinking?
Whoa, what do you mean?
So after you beat Norman and then you surf east of Mauville and you meet up with Steven Stone, and Steven Stone is like, hey, how's it going? Great to see you. And in the original games, that is literally just like you meet up with Steven for the first time since you met him in Granite Cave, right? It's just like a nice leisurely catch up with Steven before you inevitably run into him again when he gives you the Devon scope so you can see some Kecleon. Okay? They just sort of like reintroduce you to Steven as a character, and that's fine, and it's a nice interaction. And they do something similar with Cynthia in the Gen 4 games, where they just sort of like remind you that this character exists. You don't know why they're important, but they keep showing up. Okay? Becomes a little bit of a trope, the champion running into you through your story, whatever. In ORAS, at that point, when you meet up with Steven, Latios or Latias shows up, and Steven can magically communicate with them, and Steven is like, oh my god, let's hop on their back and let's follow them. And you go to Southern Island of all places for free, and then you go and you do a fight against, I think, one of the Aqua or Magma admins, I think.
Yeah, it's like they changed Southern Island, but yeah, it's you fight bad guy team there.
And so you beat them, and then you get the opposite Lati of, you get the one that you saved, basically. And immediately with their Mega Stone. It would be one thing if at this point in the game, at 5 gyms in, if they gave you a Lati. It is insane balance-wise that they gave you a Mega, because you just get to run through the entire rest of the game with it, and there's no, why would you build a team? Why would you have a group of guys when you can just use a Mega Lati and it just steamrolls the entire rest of the game? It becomes a mash the A button simulator. I don't understand. It's great. Listen, it's great that they made getting the Latis more accessible and not a roaming Pokemon, because roaming Pokemon are inherently bad, but
inherently bad.
Roman Pokemon are inherently dumb and bad.
All right.
But that's for another episode.
Write in, folks. We'll be talking about that one next time. We don't have enough time for me to scream at him about that.
Like, it's fine that they gave you a Lati. That's fine. It's when they give it to you, the fact that it already has its Mega Stone, it just completely, like, it just comes down to balance, I think. And I know what you're gonna say. This is a single player game. Who cares, right? To me, it invalidates basically the first half of the game, where me and my team went through all of these trials and tribulations together, and then Steven Stone shows up and gives me this golden goose Mega Latios and just says, now you can sail through the rest of the game.
There you go.
It's like Masuda himself said, we realize this is taking a lot of your time and we just wanted to speed up the process for you.
Sounds good. I'll use Latios Mega. You know, I feel like I've heard this argument about a million different things, and I always think because like, I guess like the front, you know, everybody knows how to communicate their thoughts on the internet really well. really just illustrious,
exceptionally well
argument crafting. But usually the complaint is like, oh, like they gave it to us at all, and it's this tool. And that since I am like, I don't know, like the transitive, I guess, is that like I'm greedy, so I couldn't resist using something that's really powerful. Like the back of that is like, okay, genius, just put it in the box, like, or
you don't need to use
even better. But you're saying something that's actually speaking to me about this, because I'm always just like, Latios was one where I was like because I was doing, when I got to Steven, I had 6 Pokemon on my team, and I assessed that like, Latios, you do not make the cut in the box with you. Like, I know, like, and I didn't know this for sure, but I was like, Mega Gardevoir could be right around the corner, and you are not making the cut in the box. However, you're really saying something to me with the invalidation of your previous works. And if you engage with the medium, because it's like, oh, like, just don't think about it, but it's like, well, then you're doing like the thing that they are like you would think that they don't want you to do, because it's like you engage with this world, you engage with the RPG. I worked really hard for this stuff, and you're telling me I could have just winged it until I got my fighter jet that is like I could have been doing Typhlosion and the Pidgeys up until this point.
And then you could sort of pivot to Latios and the Pidgeys.
Now I've got Typhlosion and Latios. Like
sure, yeah, you could do both.
I've got it all now, and I didn't have to do anything. That's a sophisticated point. I'm turning my head a little bit of how that actually matters. But I guess the caveat though, and what I appreciate about what you're saying, and I have seen you play, I fully think this is you, is like you have to actually care about the role play of like I'm on a journey, I'm with my team, this team matters, these are my guys. I think if you're gaming a game, this doesn't matter. Like if you're thinking of your Pokemon as like tools in your arsenal as you journey, this doesn't matter, and you should release it. But Pokemon's intended format is what gets you to think this way. So like if you're doing the in my opinion, the ascended role play with a Pokemon game, I'm with you. You should be upset that you got handed a fighter jet because you worked really hard before this. And you have an emotional connection. That is the point. You have a connection.
That's the trick of it. And the thing that they do that is a good thing, that is like a way to give you a boost in power that makes sense with the team that you've already been building, is actually when Steven gives you the Mega Stone for your starter. That feels good, because that is a direct upgrade
awesome.
To the squad that I've been rolling with this whole time, not just a freebie out of nowhere that I have no attachment to. This is instead, oh my god, like my day one is going to get even stronger. In Sceptile's case, get, a second typing, even Swampert gets swole. It's sick. So I'm not saying that like giving you a sudden boost in power is a bad thing. I'm having trouble.
It's an insult to your team. It's an insult to the process.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's the idea. Thank you for understanding.
It's unemotional. it's I don't know. It's like, I mean, it is in that vein of it is unimmersive, but it's like this is a game piece. Like you just give me a game piece. Like you just give me like a battleship, because no, these are my friends. Like this is my me and the Goon Squad, and like we're all best buddies. That's not my friend.
Otherwise, ORAS do a lot of good. I think the fact that after you beat the game, when you go visit Rydell lets you take the second bike, so you can have both bikes with you at any given moment.
Finally, 2 bikes.
That's a huge dub. I love that. Here's the thing. We're running a little long, and that's probably my bad. I'm not going to get into Mauville. I'm going to concede Mauville is fine, okay? And if you're wondering what I mean by that,
Mauville.
You're going to have to tune in for a later episode maybe, but I think I've gone a little long in the tooth with this one.
Mauville's so good.
Droomish, thank you at least for like indulging in my madness. I love both of these games, genuinely. I think ORAS is a great game. I think I don't really think of ORAS as like a direct upgrade, but I do think of it as like a side grade, and that there are aspects of it that are direct improvements from the original games, but there are other intangible, like spiritual things about it that I don't vibe with. And so that's sort of the disconnect for me with ORAS.
I think it's a really interesting game for me, because it is. I mean, it's exactly as you just said. I think that ORAS really represents a schism. It represents the beginning of a great divide, if you will, across Pokemon, because remakes before this were like. I don't know. I don't understand why the Fire Red Leaf Green hate is happening now. the remakes just they just did them better. Like they just did. We're gonna do all that stuff and more. And maybe some people consider Fire Red and Leaf Green that kind of side grade. This is one where, because it's like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, completely phoned in. I think that's charitable. I think it's charitable to call it completely phoned in. But there's like enough of the original here where it's like, this is clearly the thing that you like and right, that's what you're saying. It's like, this is absolutely the thing that I like. The spirit of Hoenn is here. The side make is so present. That is the core of this, as a side make. And I don't think at all that this was the beginning of the end. I don't think that at all. I think some people do that, like ORAS is specifically the beginning of the end, but I think it was the beginning of something different, because it was the first time, and that interview I think kind of caps it off, my lovely Masuda interview of we noticed something of him saying whether, and I'm like, I hate to pull the curtain here. I really think there was a level of bullshitting with that interview. It was such a ridiculous thing that it doesn't make any sense. But there is a perception there of like, hey, we made this game once upon a time and we're making it again, but we've noticed that the real world's culture has changed in between now and then. And as a result of that, we have changed the formula. And that, for me, is the beginning of something really new for the series, because I think it represents like a very, not exactly updated, but the design sensibilities changed at their core with this game. And it is like an indicator that they are focusing on different things and focusing in different directions. And that's so apparent with the side make comparison of, this is what Emerald does and this is what these two games do. And I think we can really appreciate like the times that they came out because of their like kind of medium level of differences versus either none, like in BDSP's case, or like an extreme number of upgrades, like with Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver remain the gold standard for remakes, in my opinion.
Video essay darling. They are perfect.
Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, yeah, going into ORAS, I was like smitten with ORAS's opening movie. The Dex Nav, again, I think is like an all-around success and a fantastic feature of that game. And there's still plenty to love about those games and reasons to go back to them, absolutely. And talking about them this much has made me realize, like, I haven't played through either Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire in like probably a decade, and like I feel like I should, because I am basing a lot of what I said today on like a pretty old memory and like an experience I had when I was a different person as well. So I think I want to like revisit those games just to get a clearer image of them in my mind now, but I can't. Emerald is my baby. Emerald is my ride or die. I'm playing Emerald to this day. Twitch.tv/Capreo_. And I love it. And I think it isn't perfect, but it is everything that I want from a Pokemon game. And not even just like playing one forever. I mean like replaying a Pokemon game over and over.
And you know, who knows what your smartphone has done to you in that time. Also,
it's ruined me. I'm a ruined man.
Yeah. Well, I guess you beat the cycle because you're playing Emerald and smartphone. Two things previously thought impossible.
They said it couldn't be done.
But that's probably I think that's a pretty great thought to, I don't know, just to leave on, to ruminate on these games that we play, our Pokemon games. Love them or hate them. And I don't know, it can be pretty insufferable to go back and engage with something you genuinely didn't like. I think that the games, like, I don't know, they do a very complimentary job of, like, highlighting where you are in your life and bringing to the surface what you value in a game at this point in time in your life. So maybe go back and try something.
Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Ultimately, you just said your baby's Emerald. I know this is crazy because I'm the Gen 3 YouTuber. Stop calling me that. Because I like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire a little bit more. I like my extracurriculars. I like going to play with my Pokemon dolls. And I like pressing the buttons on the PSS. And I like all the toys. And I like all the mini games. And as good as they were, the earliest Pokemon games were not gigantic on extracurriculars. And in a world like Pokemon, and maybe I probably would have thought differently, honestly, like a decade ago, like you said. But where I am right now is that I live for Pokemon's world, and really a game can get me just by having a wide variety of extracurriculars. I guess if they were like particularly bad, I would probably fall off. But when there's like a zoo of things to do, and the 3DS games are, look no further than the 3DS games for a wide array of experiences, I'm completely content. And this was on original play, and I think like along with my current sensibilities, I was working on Alpha Sapphire in the last year. I got to Mauville, so I relatively recently. The world of Pokemon is so satisfying for me, and the familiar stomping ground of Hoenn, something that I grew up with, combined with, oh my gosh, there's so many things to do now, was a match made in heaven for me. That being said, Emerald is probably one of the best games that they have ever made, if not the best. So this is a best versus favorite moment for me.
Yeah, I mean it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I think they're both good. Emerald is just my preference. But yeah, I mean, folks, listen, let us know which of the two, if you have a preference, maybe you like them both equally, that's great too.
Yeah, please. This is a great one to write in. Let your voice be heard.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. But that's going to do it
all right,
for Petalburg Woods.
That's all we got for you folks this time. You can find us outside of the forest as well. I am Droomish on YouTube, and we are both on Twitch. You can find us at least once a week at Droomish_ for me, and at Capreo_ for Capreo, of course. Please let us know what you thought. Leave a review, a comment, a like, a subscription even, depending on what website you're in. All the good optic things. I really like it when you do that. And until next time, leave your repels at home and come visit us in the Petalburg Woods. Bye-bye, folks.
See ya.
Petalburg Woods is hosted by Droomish and Capreo and produced by Girl Luigi. The theme music is by Capreo, and additional artwork is by Mo Paint Stuff. Let us know where you'd like to visit in the Pokémon Universe next. Email us at petalburgpod@gmail.com. Join us next time in Petalburg Woods to explore OG Hoenn versus the Hoenn remakes. And until then, leave your super repels at home and come visit us in the Petalburg Woods. See ya!